Okay, Mataji, we can now read.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, all the devotees. My humble obeisances to you all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 1, Text 1. Dhritarashtra Vacha Dharam Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsava Mamaka Pandavascheva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya.
Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?
Text 2. Sanjaya Vacha Deshtvā tu Pandavanikam Vyuram Duryodhanastada Acharyam Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit.
Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words.
Text 3. Pashyatam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatam Chamam Vyuram Drupada Putrena Tavshishena Dhimata.
O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada.
Text 4. Atra Sura Maheshwe Asha Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Yuyudhano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharatha.
Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata, and Drupada.
Text 5. Dhrishtaketu Chekitana Kashirajascha Viryavan Purujit Kunti Bhojascha Sabyascha Narapungava.
There are also great heroic, powerful fighters like Dashtaketu, Chekitana, Kasiraja, Purajit, Kuntiboja, and Saibya.
Text 6. Yudhamanyuscha Vikranta Uttamojascha Viryavan Sobhadra Dropadeyascha Sarva Eva Maharatha.
There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamaja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters.
Text 7. Asmakam tu Vishishtaye Tannibodha Dvijuttama Naikamam Sanyasya Sangyatam Tan Bhavimite.
But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force.
Text 8. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kripascha Samitim Jaya Ashwathama Vikarnascha Somadattes Tathevacha.
There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikrana, and the son of Somadatta called Bhuriswara, who are always victorious in battle.
Text 9. Annecha Bhavasura Mad Arthe Tyakta Jivita Nana Shastra Praharana Sarva Yuddha Visharada.
There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science.
Text 10. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma virakshitam paryaptam tva idam etesham balam bhima virakshitam.
Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited.
Text 11. Eneshu cha sarveshu यथा भागम् अवस्थिता भीष्मम् एवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि.
All of you must now give all support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the ranks of the army.
Text 12. Tasya sanjanyam harsham kuru vidha pitamaha simhanadam vinadyache shankham dadamya pratapavan.
Then Bhishma, the great violent grandson of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like a roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy.
Text 13. Tatha shankha sabheryascha पानवानका गोमुखा सहसा एव अभ्यहन्यन्ता सा शब्दास्तुमलो भवात्.
After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous.
Text 14. तथा श्वेते युक्ते महति स्यांदने स्थितो माधवा पांडवाश्चैव दिव्यो शंख्यो प्रधत्मतो.
On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells.
Text 15. Panchayanyam ऋषिकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जया पौण्ड्रं ददाम्यो महाशङ्खं भीमकर्मा वृकोदरा.
Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchayanyam. Arjuna blew his. The Devotee and Bhima, the ferocious eater and performer of Herculean task, blew his terrific conch shell called Pandura.
Text 16 to 18. Anantavidyam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthira Nakula Sahadevascha Sughosho Mani Pushpako Kashyascha Parmeshwasa Shikhandi cha Maharatha Dhishtadumnyo Viratascha Satyaki cha Parijita Drupdeyascha सर्वशा पृथ्वीपते सौभद्राश्च महाबाहु शंखान् ददमो पृथक् पृथक्.
King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell. The Anantavijaya and Nakula and Sahadeva blew the Sughosa and Manipuspaka. The great archer, the king of Kasi, the great fighter, Sikhandi, the Dashtadumna, Virasta, the unconquerable Satyaki Drupada, the son of Draupadi, and others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells.
Text 19. Saghosho dhatrashranam hirdayani vyadharat nabhascha prithvim cheva tumlo abhyanunadayan.
The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra.
Text 20. Atha vyavasthitan drishtva धात्राष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजा विविते शास्त्र सम्पाते धनुर् उद्यम्य पाण्डवा ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम् इदम् अहामहीपते.
At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words.
Text 21 and 22. Arjuna vacha senyor ubhyo madhe ratham sthapyami achyuta yavad etan nirikshayaham yodhur kaman avasthitan kairmaya सह योद्धाव्यम् अस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे.
Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms.
Text 23. योत्स्यामानम् अवेक्ष्यहम् या एते अत्र समागता धाष्ट्रास्त्रस्य दुर्बुद्धे युद्धे प्रिया चिकीर्षवा.
Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra.
Text 24. Sanjay Uvacha evam mukto rishikesho Kudakeshena Bharata Senyor Ubhyor Madhye Sthapitva Rathottamam.
Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Please forgive me for my mistakes in pronunciation. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for the
Thank
service.
you, sir.
Forgive me too for my mistakes.
Thank you very much, Mataji's. No need of apologies. It's very transcendental sound vibration that when we reverberate from our lips, it purifies us and purifies everybody else. So thank you very much. Very, very pleasing to the heart of the Lord. So today's verse is text 15. I'll just stop sharing for some time. And before we go any further, we'll just do our Praniti prayers. Om Agyanam Timrindasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Badam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so today's verse is 15th verse of chapter 1st. We have just read through Panchayanyam Rishikesho Devadatta Dhananjayaha Vandram Dadmahu Mahashankham Bhima Karma Rakodaraha. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjun blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean task, blew his terrific conch shell called Pandra. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Krishna is referred to as Rishikesha in this verse because he is the owner of all senses. Living entities are part and parcel of him, and therefore Senses of the living entities are also part and parcel of his senses. The impersonalist cannot account for the senses of the living entities, and therefore they are always anxious to describe all living entities as senseless or impersonal. Lord, situated in the heart of all living entities, direct their senses, but he directs in terms of the surrender of the living entity. And in the case of pure devotee, he directly controls the senses. Here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Lord directly controls the transcendental senses of Arjuna, and thus his particular name, Rishikesha. Lord has different names according to his different activities. For example, his name is Madhusudana because he killed the demon of the name Madhu. His name is Govinda because he gives pleasure to the cows and to the senses. His name is Vasudev because he appeared as the son of Vasudev. His name is Devaki Nandan because he accepted Devaki as his mother. His name is Yashoda Nandan because he avoided his childhood pastimes to Yashoda at Vrindavan. His name is Parthasarathi because he worked as charioteer of his friend Arjun. Similarly, his name is Rishikesha because he gave direction to Arjun on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjun is referred to as Dhananjaya in this verse because he helped his elder brother in fetching wealth when it was required by the king to make expenditures for different sacrifices. Similarly, Bhima is known as Vrikodara because he could eat as voraciously as he could perform Herculean tasks, such as killing the demon Hidimba. So, the particular types of conch shell blown by different personalities on the side of Pandavas, beginning with the lords, were all very encouraging to the fighting soldiers. On the other hand, there were no such credits, nor the presence of Lord Krishna, the supreme director, nor that of the goddess of fortune. So they were predestined to lose the battle, and that was the message announced by the sounds of the conch shells. Panchajanya Rishikesho Deva Dattam Dhananjayaha Pandram Dadmau Mahashankham Bhima Karma Vrikodaraha. So in this verse, we are on the 15th verse now, and we have seen so far that how diplomatically Duryodhan has been glorifying some of the enemies of his own and arch enemies of people like Dronacharya, who were in the opposite armies, just to fuel the imminent anger within everybody, and how diplomatically he was giving motivation to some of his own leaders who were great acharyas and who were on his side. So building up to this point, now the time has come that you declare war. And when they declare war, mostly the wars are declared by the sound vibrations. And everybody is now blowing their conch shells. So this blowing of conch shells is being described here. In the previous verse, we saw that how Krishna and Arjun, they were mounted on the chariot given by Agnidev to Arjun. And they were mounted and they were blowing their conch shells. Now the names of conch shells are given here. And they are very special names and they have some meaning behind that. And Srila Prabhupada has going to at length describing why certain names are given here. He touched upon Rishikesh, Rishikesha, Rishikena. We hear this verse where we find that ultimately it's Lord Krishna who is controlling the senses. And ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stata bhajami aham. So one who surrenders to that extent, to the extent of the surrender, Lord Krishna starts to take control. Ultimately, Krishna is the controller and we are controlled, but we think other way around. So when we take full control of ourselves, or we want to take, or we feel that we are taking full control of ourselves, then nobody else can take our control, can they? So therefore, Krishna just let it be. He sits as a super soul in the heart, and then he lets the wandering soul do whatever he wants to do, try to help and assist in whatever way and form he can in the best interest of the living entity, according to the desires of living entity. But now here, if we start to surrender, then Krishna starts to take control. And what does he take control of? The senses. Because senses are running around the object of the senses of this material world, and the mind is completely wandering around these objects of senses. Now, when Srila Prabhupada is explaining the purport that the more we get purified, the more we get out of our own control of our own desires, Krishna's desires become our reins, or rather Krishna starts to exercise his will. His will and living entity's will becomes one. And that's when that is 100% one, and that's called pure devotee. In that case, Krishna takes full control of the senses of that living entity who's a pure devotee. And we know how um, devotees such as Srila Prabhupada himself uh, appeared to be suffering but was not suffering, because Krishna has definitely taken control of all his senses. And therefore, they also become like touchstone. They become like, they get the potencies of the qualities of Krishna. And wherever they go, they purify the atmosphere, they purify the heart, and all those places become Tirthasthan, places of pilgrimage, because Krishna, as Rishikesh, is taking control of all their senses and their minds. And in one fact or the other, you can say that Krishna himself is present in the form of his pure devotees, and thus has the same implication as if Krishna himself is there. Now, if we look at the word here, Panchayanyam, that is Lord Krishna's beautiful conch shell. These conch shells have its own significance, and we can see how auspicious these conch shells are. In Vedic literature, we find sometimes some contradictions. And one of those contradictions is also conch shell. Conch shell is made of bones, whereas bones is something that one would not touch, because touching bones is inauspicious. One should immediately take bath and leave or not be in touch with such bones. However, because Vedas, which is Shabda Praman, Shruti, is like a mother, so they are telling us that conch shell is pure. And we can see there how Lord Krishna holds conch shell in one of his hands. And on the other hand, which is parallel, he holds lotus. Whereas on the other hands, two hands which are on the top, Lord Vishnu, he's holding a club and a disc. So in this battlefield, Krishna has declared in Bhagavad Gita that he has appeared to destroy his enemies. Paritranai sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. At the same time, he has come to preserve or to save his devotees. So both these things can be seen in his hands. On the top hands, he's destroying, his weapons are destroying the enemies. And on the bottom two hands, they are the symbol of auspiciousness, and they're the symbol of blessings of Lord Krishna. So the conch shell is very, very auspicious, and therefore it's used in the temples. And in the previous days, and now also, the conch shells are blown at a certain point of time. And by hearing these conch shells, previously, most of the residents were around the temples. Like we can hear the bells of the churches in the Western world, and it feels very good, because it gives you the sense of belongingness. It gives you the sense of something is happening. Similarly, conch shell blowing would give the sense of that curtains are now opening, and devotees will rush to the temple to take the darshan of the Lord, as the tumultuous sound of conch shell will make them very happy. So we can see that Panchajanyam, there's a story behind this, and which is mentioned in, let me see, here. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 45, between verse number 42 and 44, there's a beautiful description of this conch shell. And I'll go to the story before after I read these verses, and then we can talk about this beautiful conch shell that Sri Krishna is blowing and being mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Tadanga prabhavam sankham adaya ratham agamat tatah samayanim nama yamasya daitam purim gatva janardana sankham pradhadhamau sahalayudah shankha nirharadam akarnya prajasamayam anoyamaha tayoh saparayam mahatim chakre bhakti upabhrimatam uvachavanatah krishnam sarvabhutashyayalam leela manushayor vishnu yuvo karvamakim. Lord Janardhan took the conch shell that had grown around the demon's body and went back to the chariot. Then he proceeded to Samyamani, the beloved capital of Yamaraj, the Lord of Death. Upon arriving there with Lord Balram, he loudly blew his conch shell, and Yamaraj, who keeps the conditioned souls in check, came as soon as he heard the resounding vibration. Yamaraj elaborately worshipped the two lords with great devotion, and then he addressed Lord Krishna, who lives in everyone's heart. O Supreme Lord Vishnu, what shall I do for you? And Lord Balram, who are playing the part of ordinary humans. Now, this is a story or the pastimes of the Lord, when Lord Balram and Lord Krishna go to Avantipur, which is the name of present-day Ujjain in India, where our Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, has built a beautiful temple. It's also the place of pilgrimage because of Lord Shiva's Swambhu deities. And obviously there is a Sandipani Muni ashram there in Ujjain. So when they both went to study there, within very short period of time, Sandipani Muni gave them almost all the Vedic knowledge. And in return, when Lord Krishna and Balram asked Sandipani Muni at what could they give as their Guru Dakshina, knowing their capabilities, Sandipani Muni asked them that, can you bring my son who is dead back to life? And taking the orders of their spiritual master or their Gurudev, both of them then went to find the son, and they came to the ocean, wherein the Lord of the ocean came out folding his hands in front of these beautiful lords and said that, what can I do for you? How come that you are here? And he said that, where is the son of my Guru, Sandipani Muni? We have come to take him back. So the ocean god says that there is a demon with the name Panchajan. He has taken the son of Sandipani. Now this Panchajanya, who is a demon, was also a devotee, just like Jai Vijay. They were devotees before they became Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. Similarly, this Panchajanya was a devotee who has become a demon. And this demon has taken away this son. So that's the description here. Therefore, then Lord Krishna comes into the ocean waters and he defeats this demon. And this demon, because he was living under the water, he had a conch shell that had grown around his body. And this conch shell, Lord Krishna, he has taken that conch shell from the body of this demon. Just like the conch shell can grow around the creature, similarly, this conch shell was growing around the demon. So it's mentioned thereafter at Lord Krishna and Balram, they go to the abode of Yamaraj, and when they blew their conch shell in Yamaraj's abode, Yamaraj, obviously understanding that he is the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna and Lord Balram, and with folded hands offering prayers, he asks that what can he do? And as soon as the Lord put his request forward, Yamaraj was obliged and more than happy to return the souls, the son of Sandipani Muni. So in this way, Lord Krishna brings back the son of their Guru Maharaj. Now, we can imagine that this is the same Lord Krishna in front of whom the Yamraj, the death personified, is folding hands and praying. And this Lord Krishna is nobody but is the dearmost friend of Arjuna. And they both are together on this chariot on the battlefield blowing this conch shell which has been blown previously. So we can imagine that how in the next following verses these conch shells were shattering the hearts of their enemies, the son of the Kuru. All of them were shattered in their hearts. They're fearful. So this sound vibration was not an ordinary sound vibration. It's a divine sound vibration because Krishna himself is divine. So if I read some of in this particular purport, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned very beautifully what happens when Lord Krishna blows his conch shell, what kind of phenomena happens. And this is coming from the Skanda Puran. It's mentioned here, Skanda Puran Avanti Khand, which describes this beautiful impact of the blowing of conch shell by Lord Krishna. Asipatravanam nama Shirinapatram ajayata Rauravam nama narakam Arauravam abhuta tad abhairavam bhairavakyam kumbhipakam apachikam. What is he saying? The hell known as Asipatravana lost the sharp sword-like leaves on its trees. So as soon as the tumultuous sound vibration of the conch shell went into this hell, obviously, if you're going to Yamraj's abode, it's all surrounded by various kinds of hell, as described in Canto 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam. The hell known as Asipatravarna, lost because these are sharp sword-like leaves. And the living entity who has done sinful activities, they are thrown from the top of the tree and they keep coming down, and all these sharp leaves keep striking their bodies and giving them pain and wounds. So this is the hell which loses. This tree loses all its leaves. And the hell named Raurava became free of its Ruru beasts. These Ruru beasts are there. They are there to eat the living entity alive and give them the same pain as they have given by killing animals. So the Ruru beasts, they go away from this hell. The Bhairava hell lost its fearfulness. And because of its auspiciousness, the fear personified runs away from Krishna and his conch shell blowing. And all cooking stopped in the Kumbha Pika hell. Now, further, there is a description from Skanda Puran which states, Papakshayata tatah sarve vimukta naraka naraha padam abhyayam asadaya. Their sinful reactions eradicated just by the hearing of the sound vibration. The living entities who are inhabitants in the hell, their sinful reactions are eradicated, and all the inhabitants of hell attained liberation and approached the spiritual world. Isn't it so amazing to hear this, that just the sound vibration that comes from the lotus mouth of Lord Krishna through this Panchayanyam conch shell has the power and ability to release people from the hellish condition, not from earthly planet, not from the heavenly planets or the upper planetary system, but from hellish planets. Most sinful ones who have been allocated that place are released and they become eligible to go to the spiritual world. And this is the sound vibration which is getting blown in the battlefield of Kurukshetra at this time. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya. So Dhananjaya is the name of Arjun, and his conch shell is here, Devadattam. So going further on the same conch shell theme, as I was just discussing, this conch shell blowing is the symbol that Lord Krishna's or Lord's temple is opening up and everybody runs. So in this verse in Chaitanya Antalila 1479, we see how Lord Chaitanya would hear the conch shell at Jagannath temple and he would immediately take his bath and come for the darshan of Lord Jagannath. Now, the reason that I've come to Lord Chaitanya's Leela is there's a beautiful there's a beautiful pastime of the Lord which kinds of end on the conch shell story. So I thought perhaps it's something that I can run us through. And this is the Anta Leela. This is where Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya has spent almost 18 years into Anta Leela. In the Adi Leela, Lord has mostly this description of his childhood pastimes are there. In the Madhya Leela, Lord is traveling around doing the preaching work all over the country of India, specifically South India travels. And then later on in the Anta Leela, Lord is going inside inwards and he's showing a lot of ecstatic symptoms of all kinds. And let me see, where are those verses? So this is Jagannath Puri, and Lord is doing his pastimes with his internal, circle of entourage of devotees, and Raghunath Das Goswami as constant companion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as Sarup Damodar Goswami is constant companion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they were recording these pastimes, and basis those recordings, Chaitanya Chaitamrit is with us today. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mistook a sand dune for Govardhan Hill, and he starts running towards it. Now, this verse is very famous for Govardhan Hill, whereas Govardhan Hill is described as Haridas Varya, which means he's the best among the servants of the Lord. Hantayam Adrir Abala Haridas Varyo Yadarama Krishna Charana Sparsha Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganyos Tayorayat Paniya Suya Vasa Kandrakanda Mulehe. So, of all the devotees, Govardhan Hill is the best. Oh, my friends, this hill supplies Krishna and Balram, as well as their calves, cows, and cowherd friends with all kinds of necessities. Water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables. In this way, the hill offers respects to the Lord. Being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balram, Govardhan Hill appears very jubilant. So on the Govardhan Puja day, we sing this verse, and we remember Govardhan as the best of the servants of the Lord, and we take inspiration and blessings of Govardhan Dev. So as soon as Lord Chaitanya heard this verse, he started to run towards the sand dune as fast as the wind. And one of his caretakers, Govinda, was running after him, but he could not approach because Lord Chaitanya was running very fast. And so other devotees started to run behind the Lord. Now, Sarup Damodar Goswami, Jagdanand Pandit, Gadadhar Pandit, Ramai, Nandai, Shankar Pandit are some of the devotees who were running after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there were other devotees like Parmanand Puri, Brahmanand Bharati, they also came, and Bhagwan Acharya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was running with the speed of the wind, but he suddenly became stunned in ecstasy and lost all strength to proceed further. So all these symptoms of Mahabhava, which are symptoms of going internal, symptoms of going into high levels of ecstasy, going and participating in the Leela of Lord himself, because he would lose all his external consciousness. So some of those symptoms are being described here. Please be ready for this. The flesh at each of his pores erupted like pimples, and his bodily hairs, standing on end, appeared like kadamba flowers. Blood and perspiration flowed incessantly from every pore of his body, and could not speak a word, but simply produced a gargling sound within his throat. The Lord's eye filled and overflowed with unlimited tears, like the Ganges and Yamuna meeting in the sea. His entire body faded to the color of a white conch shell. And then he began to quiver like the waves in the ocean. While quivering, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down on the ground. And then when Govinda approached him, he sprinkled water and over the body, Lord's body, and taking his outer garments, he began to fan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This way, Sarup Damodar came and saw the condition of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started showing the symptoms, Ashtasiddhi. All 8 kinds of transcendental transformations were visible in the Lord's body. And everybody was stuck with wonder as to what was happening. And that's when Lord's devotees, they started chanting Hare Krishna mantra and wash his body with cold water. After devotees had been chanting for a long time, Mahaprabhu suddenly stood up and shouted, Hari Bol. And all the Vaishnavas loudly chanted, Hari, Hari, in great jubilation. Astonished, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood up and began looking here and there, trying to see something, but he could not catch the sight of it. And then when he saw all the Vaishnavas, he returned to his partial external consciousness. And then he says, who has brought me here from Govardhan Hill? I was seeing. So all this time when I was in Mahabhav, now Mahaprabhu is speaking about it. He's saying, I was with Lord Krishna. I was in his pastimes. But now, because you all are here, I cannot see him. Today, I went from here to Govardhan Hill to find out if Krishna was tending his cows there. I saw Krishna climbing Govardhan Hill and playing his flute, surrounded on all sides by grazing cows. Hearing the vibration of Krishna's flute, Radharani and all her gopi friends came here to meet him. They were all very nicely dressed. When Krishna and Srimati Radharani entered a cave together, the gopis asked me to pick some flowers. Just then, all of you made this tumultuous sound and carried me from there to this place. So you see, this Madhurya Leela, this Madhurya Bhav is there in our parampara, and the Rupanugas or the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are all coming into this line of Madhurya Ras, which is the highest ras of of bhakti, wherein you are serving the Lord as his very intimate, very intimate friends, and in one of those rasas as gopis and lovers. So it's a very high level of rasa. And so this is same Lord Chaitanya is same as Lord Krishna. Here in the battlefield, Lord Krishna is blowing his conch shell and he is giving direction as a Rishikesh to Arjuna. He will be controlling the chariot. He will be taking dictations of Arjuna in a way that where to go and where not to. At the same time, will be giving dictations to the intelligence and the intelligence to Arjuna. And when we see this whole role that Lord Krishna is playing from one side in the battlefield to the other side, going in ecstasy and being in his own lila, it is a bridge between battle of Kurukshetra to the spiritual world. And Bhagavad Gita is spoken to Arjuna, but it has been spoken to all the living entities like ourselves, where if we follow what is spoken in Bhagavad Gita, and if we can hear the conch shell of the Lord every day, or in our temples, at our homes, we create this nice auspicious sound vibration and please the Lord, do artis, offer bhoga, sing in front of the deities, read Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, discuss about Krishna, and partake the prasadam and do not get indulged in any sinful activities of any kinds, we will be at some point in time participate in the leelas of the Lord when we become sufficiently or 100% purified, and when Lord Krishna will take control of all our senses. And so from Battle of Kurukshetra to Goloka Vrindavan Dham, that's the journey that we all are going through. And that journey is through fighting. We are here to fight the battle of our mind. Our mind is pulling us and torturing us every single day, 24 hours a day, and even in the dream, and forcing us to work like asses, wherein we have to just work and accumulate, and not be able to see the end of it, not able to see that how in what disguise this desires are coming and taking away the life force and the whole opportunity of coming to the platform of Krishna consciousness, where we have a beautiful opportunity to get out of the control of the senses, control of the mind, and get situated in our transcendental constitutional position of serving the Lord instead of serving the senses and our minds. Such an amazing opportunity is waiting for all of us, and that opportunity is getting unfolded in the blowing of this conch shell because of the auspiciousness, and because it is so auspicious, and it can take away all the fearfulness from the hearts of living entities. So if we are fearful, just chanting the sound vibration of the Lord's name can take away the fearfulness, the fear of death, the fear of anxieties of the future, the fear of I won't have this, what will I do? All of that can completely go away by the chanting of the Lord's holy name, the holy name of the Lord, the blowing of conch shell of the Lord, the sound vibration of the Lord. All of them are one and the same thing, and they can bring complete purification to all of us. So I'll give a couple of minutes for comments and for any questions. Please feel free and participate now.
Hare Krishna Manipur, it was a wonderful class. I was really enjoying hearing all the transcendental vibration. And also you mentioned about we joined the temple. I had the opportunity to go there. Maharaj is, such a beautiful temple. I also visited where the Shiva's linga is there. It's very well known, very well known. We went to Avanti school, and there were two plants together, two trees. What do you remember? The trees together in a corner has been set. Do you remember those two trees? They were brought by Krishna with his friend when they were going to get the wood for their Guru Maharaj. And right. part of the branches were kept, and they are now growing as a tree together. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the two trees?
Yes.
It's so wonderful. How did they go together? They've been kept in a corner.
Right. In Vrindavan also, you will see many such plants and trees, and representing Radha and Krishna. And this merging together is actually our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one body and two moods. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
I have another question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Silly. All the Srimad Bhagavatam, all the cantos there, like Prahlad, not Prahlad Maharaj, Narshina. When Dhruva Maharaj was praying, Krishna came as Narayan, four-handed. Mm-hmm. And all the Bhagavatam, there's no Krishna's two-hand form except in the 10th canto. How do I understand that? Because devotee wants to go back to the spiritual world with a Golok Vrindavan. So is it possible for you to explain a little bit about it? Because all through the Bhagavatam, the Krishna comes with a four-handed arm to the devotees. So, but Srila Prabhupada has given us this, we go to Golok Vrindavan where Krishna is two-handed. So I want to understand a little bit more if it's possible for you. Thank you.
Whatever I know, Mataji, I'll share that with you. Now, in the four-handed forms, Lord Vishnu is coming or is residing in his abode of Vaikuntha planets. In Vaikuntha planets, the devotees who are present in Vaikuntha planets, they're aware that this is Supreme Lord, and he is the controller. He is the God, and we are all his servants. And therefore, there's a mood of a lot of awe and reverence. And in such mood, when devotees worship the Lord, they achieve Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means no anxieties. And they are able to be in Sarupya Siddhi or Salukya Roop or Sarupya, meaning that they get the form as the Lord's form. They get to live very close to the Lord. They get the opulences of the Lord. That's not desirable, but that's something that Lord gives them. It's not that the sadhaka is desiring that, right? Krishna abhors that kind of mukti or liberation. Now, beyond that, see, many of our sampradayas are able to take a living entity to that platform. But beyond that is the realm of Gokul. Now, in Gokul, nobody knows that Krishna is God. When Govardhan Leela is happening, and Krishna is clearly lifted Govardhan on his left hand little finger, clearly. Still, all his Gopa friends are saying, "Oh, put our sticks, otherwise it will fall." And then later on, Madhumangal is saying that, you know, I was chanting mantras constantly. I'm a Brahmana. Therefore, Govardhan is up in the air. And everybody else, Yashoda Mai is thinking, my Kana, my little Kana, your finger is going to be hurt. How are you able to do this? And we don't know what will happen now if it falls down. So everybody is thinking that Krishna is their beloved object. And Krishna is their son, Krishna is their friend, Krishna is their lover. Nobody wants to believe that he's God. Nobody wants to believe. Radha Kund came into existence when Krishna killed this bull demon. And Radharani said that you have killed a bull demon. Now all the sinful reaction will come to you. So you purify yourself. So then Krishna calls all these places of pilgrimage. So we can see thousands of encounters where the gopis are ready and willing to give the dust of their feet to be rubbed on the head of Lord Krishna, because they feel that if that helps Krishna, even if you go to hell, that's fine. They told Narada very straight, please give this to Krishna if his head is aching, and by rubbing that, and that's what he thinks is the remedy, we give it now. And Narada said to them, you will go to hell. To hell with the hell. First of all, get rid of the headache of Lord Krishna. So the point is that selfless love beyond boundaries, beyond awe and reverence, where nobody, they feel that he's something, but they don't want to believe that he's God or he is a controller. So this particular position is not given to everybody. Now, Bhakti Chao Maharaj always gave this analogy: when a king is drunk completely, he's in the influence of alcohol. At that point in time, he can even give his complete wealth from his treasury to common people, and he wouldn't mind doing that. Similarly, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna himself, has come in the mood of Srimati Radharani, the heart of Radharani, the compassion of Radharani. Radharani is so compassionate to living entities. He is in madness of love. He's drunk and he's influenced, intoxicated by this higher rasa of Radharani's love. And that love, he is giving this Maha Mantra. He's giving this the most supreme, most position of being as lovers, as brothers, as friends of Lord Krishna in the Golok Vrindavan Dham. Golok ke Premadan Harinam Sankirtan. So point is that this holy name is given to us but as a causeless mercy. If we just attain to this process, we can reach to Krishna and see that bended eight bend is a three bend, folded form of the Lord, playing his flute and doing that magic he does. For that, we need purified heart, and we need this parampara. Without this parampara, without the lineage of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we cannot reach there. Just by worshipping the deities of God Nitai, we are becoming the Raganuga Bhakta. Raganuga Bhakt means the followers of those who are devotees of Lord Krishna in Vrajadham. So when we follow Gaur Nitai, we are following Radha Krishna. And by doing that, for worshipping Radha Krishna, you need law of awe and reverence. But for worshipping Gaur Nitai, we can easily worship them. Just through the channel of Gaur Nitai, who is Radharani and Krishna, we can reach to Golok Vrindavan Dham. And that is the beauty of this parampara, of Gauriya Vaishnava parampara. And that's how we can understand that how easily this particular position is obtained to us. Otherwise, you would see that there are a lot of Lord Vishnu temples in South India, established by a lot of previous acharyas, and that's where it ends. It doesn't go beyond that. But we are into deeper rasas and as a parampara. But that does not mean that we take it cheaply. We become sahajiyas. We start behaving like gopis when we are in these bodies. That's not our thing. They are nitya siddhas and nitya baddhas. Srila Prabhupada has explained that they are eternally conditioned souls, and they are eternally they are souls which are eternally liberated. So all these souls, just like fire mixes into fire, nothing else can mix into fire, just fire can mix into fire. Similarly, all these liberated souls from the eternal spiritual world come along with the Lord, whether he comes in the incarnation of Krishna or he comes in the incarnation of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. All these associates that we talk about, we read about in Chaitanya Chaitamata, they are all pure, Nitya Siddhas, who are coming, Lalita, Vishakha, we know all these incarnations are there with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in various forms, Murari Gupta, Haridas Thakur. So all of them, they are all pure devotees, and they are all doing these pastimes. Just by hearing these pastimes, just by hearing these pastimes of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna, will become eligible to see that two-armed forms of the Lord. And that's what Arjun also said, that please show me these two-armed forms. I cannot bear the effulgence of the previous and the four-armed forms either. So that's the reason, Mataji.
Okay, thank you so much for explaining. Very, very grateful. So what I understand that we are the Rupanugas, we are Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers. So that way, by worshipping through Gauranga, Gaunitai, we can purely, of course, we have to develop pure love of Godhead. Then we can go back to Golok Vrindavan, not to Vaikuntha Dham. Yes.
Yes, because awe and reverence will be absent in our relationship.
Yes, that's true. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay, it's 47 past, and therefore I'll now thank you all the Vaishnavas assembled here for this beautiful association and giving me an opportunity to purify myself. Vanchakal tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhe vacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna
Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you,
Beautiful
Prabhuji.
class.
Thank you for the lovely class.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
devotee.
Thank you, sir.
Hare